VLOOKUPs are a really important function to master, but the hashtag NA error is super common. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 reasons why it occurs and how to fix all of them. Just to start out, I'm going to explain my data super quickly. I've got a lookup value, so this is what the VLOOKUP is looking for. In the lookup return, column B, this is where I've got the VLOOKUP actually written out. And then the VLOOKUP is looking over in D and E for its table array, and I want it to look for a number that I put in column A, and I want it to return a day of the week, which I put in E. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We're going to start with the easiest VLOOKUP error to fix. You can see here in my data that I'm consistently getting the hashtag NA error when it goes to value 3. And the reason for that is, in the table array, you can see that I've got all the numbers listed out in the corresponding day of the week. But for whatever reason, whether I deleted it on accident or never entered it in the first place, value 3 is missing. So when the lookup goes to look for the value in column A and it comes across a 3, it doesn't really know what to do with that. So it returns the hashtag NA error. To fix this error, just make sure that all of the lookups that you have it looking for are within the table array. And if there are any missing, in this example, I would just need to enter the value 3, click enter, and you can see that the hashtag NA error completely goes away on its own. So that was probably one of the easiest errors to fix. But what's not as easy is when you have a situation that you can see your value 2 is here, you can see that it's present within your table array, but you're still getting the hashtag NA error and you have no clue what's going on. This one's a little bit hard to explain in a tutorial just because it's hard to see. But if you look up top towards the formula bar, you can see that while it looks like I had the value 2 in here, it actually was not only the value 2. When I clicked into it with my cursor, you can see that there's a lot of blank spaces before the 2. And the reason why the lookup isn't working is because when a VLOOKUP looks for the value, it also is seeing blank spaces as a character in a sort of way. So it's not just seeing here the value 2, which is in the table array, it's seeing space, 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 value 2. Now there's 2 ways to go about fixing this. In both of them, what we're trying to drive at here is just to get rid of the spaces. If you have it in a certain situation like this, where it's just one time that it's returning, you find it and it's not really a big deal, all I'm going to do is I'm going to click delete a couple times until the 2 is the only character within cell A2 that's remaining, and then I'm going to click enter. And you can see that it's completely gone away because now instead of space, space, space 2, it's just 2, which is the same value as the table array. Now another way to do this is if I've got multiple values in my spreadsheet and in my lookup and I'm getting multiple NA errors, there's a way to systemically do this so you don't need to go one by one. So within the VLOOKUP here, you can see that I have it looking up value A2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually nest another function within the VLOOKUP. And what function I'm going to nest is the trim function. So prior to the lookup value, I'm going to write trim, and then I'm going to put the same value in parentheses. And what the trim function does is it removes any blank spaces before or after the value that you put into parentheses. So in this example, if any spaces existed before or after A2, it's going to get rid of them and return just the actual characters that are not spaces. From here I can click enter, and you can see that again, we got rid of the hashtag NA error. Keep in mind that the trim function only works on text formatted cells. So in order to do that, you're going to need to go into your cell formatting, drop down, and put text. And if you're having trouble with the trim function nested within your VLOOKUP, it might be because it's formatted as general or a number or something like that. Again, the trim function only works on text. Now I want to go through the third common reason why your VLOOKUP probably isn't working. The telltale sign of this error is when you're getting hashtag NA errors consistently towards the bottom for some reason, right? So you can see that you've got a 2 here that's returning properly, but your 2 below is not returning the proper value. In order to do this, we need to investigate a little bit. When we click into the cell that's working, you can see that we have our lookup value, we know that that's correct. We've got our table array, which when I click into it is this square here, which looks correct to me. We're returning the second column, and false is accurate. Okay, that all looks good. So now let's go down to the next one. We've got the lookup value looking at A3. We've got the table array. And here you might begin to notice what's going on. You can see that when I clicked the table array in the last cell, it perfectly encapsulated the values in the corresponding day of the week. But when I click the table array in this one, it looks like I've gone down one. Okay, just to prove my point and to investigate a little bit further, let's go down to one that's NA. When I click into the table array here, you can see that it's highlighted almost entirely below the table array. So when it's looking for the value 1 in cell A7, it's not even seeing it highlighted over here. So what's going on in this example is I wrote out my Vlookup function in cell B2, okay? For the table array, I highlighted D2 down to E7, which was correct at the time, right? From here, I took my formula and I dragged it down. And each time I dragged it down, I did that because I wanted it to look at A3, and then A4, and then A5, and so on. But what I did on accident is I didn't realize that my table array was also dragging down one time each time I did that. So if you want just your table array to stay in place and you still want that lookup value to drag down, there's two different ways that we can go about fixing this. The first way is if I click into my original Vlookup, and where it says D2 and E8, I'm going to put a $ before both the D, the 2, the E, and the 8. And what $ pretty much mean in Excel is you can think of them like breaks. So when I go in and I drag the formula down, the D2 and the E8 are locked in place because we've got this $ holding them down. But something like the A2, within the same formula, I can drag down and it's going to slide properly how I want it to, while my D2 and E8 stay stationary. So I can click enter here. You can see that it returned Monday, and when I click in, the correct table array is still highlighted. I'm going to click enter, but I'm going to drag it down this time again, just like I did originally. And you can see that now I got rid of the NA errors. And when I click into the one that wasn't working before, let's just say B8, I can see that my table array continues to be the stagnant, stuck area that I want it to be. There's another way that you can fix this too. If you're in a situation where your table array is maybe dynamic, meaning you might add values to it, or maybe you just know that you're never going to put any values below it. So when I go up to my formula again, I originally highlighted D2 to E8, which was this area here. Now if I get rid of the numbers there, I'm just going to do D to E. You can see that it's highlighting the entire column. I'm going to click enter, and I'm going to drag down my Vlookup again, and it has fixed the NA errors. And what's going on this time, when I click into the area that was a problem before, and I look at my formula, because there's not numbers to drag down with it, it's just always going to select the entire column. As you can see here, the whole thing is highlighted. So both instances were kind of accomplishing the same goal because you're making sure that your table array is still intact, but they were tackling them a little bit differently, but both will work fine. There's one more reason why your Vlookup might not be finding the correct value. We can see that we've got an error here. We can see that the table array is correct. When I click into it, there's no leading or trailing spaces, but I'm still getting the NA error. We're going to need to investigate one more area that's a common reason for an error occurring. Up first, how I like to do things is I like to click on one that works. So in A2, I want to look up at the type of data that it's formatted as. And you can see that here it's formatted as general. And when I click in the table array, what 2, which is the value that's working, is formatted as, I can see that it's also general, right? When I click at 3 in the table array below it, general, But when I click on 3 and my lookup value, I can see that this value, for whatever reason, is formatted as text. So even though they look the same, Excel is seeing this value of 3 as a text character and this value of 3 as a more general formatting setting. And that's different enough for the Vlookup to not work. So an easy way to fix this is I'm just going to click all of A because I don't know if there's more errors below. I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to click General. I'm going to click Enter. And then when I click into here again, I can see that it's still throwing the NA error, but I'm just going to click into the formula bar, click Enter, and now when I clicked Enter again, it kind of resets what the value is thrown into Excel as, and it's gotten rid of the error because now it's formatted as general, which matches the table array. Those are all the main reasons why a hashtag NA error could occur in a Vlookup function. I hope that you found this video really useful. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions either on this video or you're struggling in Excel on a different topic and you'd like me to make a video, put it in the comments below and I'll help you out. Thanks again.